There is a difference between the masculine and the feminine that is so enormous that it causes a lot of separation. And actually, I would say that this is one of the main reasons for the war between the sexes. And that difference is that the masculine and the feminine are two, of course, different essences. Yes, so that in itself, that causes polarity, but it can also cause a lot of friction if the two poles within and outside of ourselves don't really understand each other. And I've noticed a very clear difference that is both at home and at work and in the world is really important to understand fully, because otherwise it causes so much confusion and so much conflict. And that is that the feminine inside of all of us shifts very fast. It is able to feel completely up and completely down in 2 consecutive moments. So it can shift between yes and no and up and down within a very short time. And the masculine is more linear and focused and directional. So if it has a direction, it goes in that direction. So that's the masculine in all genders. It goes in one direction, and then when the feminine is like going left and right and up and down, it's so confusing. And it's very easy for the masculine to judge the feminine inside and outside and make it wrong for shifting so fast. It can be just as provoking that it goes down as it goes up, because we're in a particular direction. So if you are now doing something completely different from that direction, it's very confusing and actually disturbing. And I can see how that, I can come with examples up from work. When I used to work as a host in Danish public broadcasting, I remember that when we were planning our programs, I could come to work and I would have slept on our ideas on how to do things. And I would say to my boss, I think we could do things slightly different. And he was like, oh my God, we just decided yesterday we were going to do this and that way. So now you come and have a different idea. And I was like, yeah, but I thought about something that I think could make it better. And he was like, oh my God, here she goes again. That creative stream of, feminine flow, so disturbing. And yesterday I talked to a couple where the beloved guy, the beloved husband said, we have a plan, we're going to move and do this and that. And then my beloved wife is like, one day she's for it, and one day she's like, yeah, but maybe we should stay in our old house. And he was like, this is very confusing because, we have a plan and now you're going in a different direction. And so on and so forth. We know it from relationships. One is up, one is down. And we shift because the feminine in all of us is making these shifts. Is very agile, you could say, and is moving very fast. So it seems that it's very illogical that the universe would have created such different essences. And how can we reconcile those differences inside of ourselves and outside of ourselves without making one of these essences wrong? Because they both have their beautiful purpose and their own genius. So it's wonderful to have a direction and to have a plan and to have a focus and to have some agreements and to be moving in a particular direction. That is a wonderful thing, and that's how we move forward. But it's also a wonderful thing to be able to be hyper agile and to really feel what's going on in this moment, even though and not judge it, even though it's very different from what went on in the other moment. So that's how we are creative and moving with the flow of life. And I believe this ability is especially important in these times of unprecedented change. If we are not willing to derive from the direction that was planned, we're going to be very, very frustrated, because the stream of life is pulling us in the torrent of life is pulling us. So if we just want to stay in one direction, we're going to be very, very stressed, and it's not going to be possible. We have to be flexible and move with that torrent, and possibly have a vision and somewhere we're heading, and hold that vision. But we have to be very agile when it comes to how we reach that vision, or how we make that vision come about. And we have to be open to, maybe there's a better vision that we cannot see at this point, because we can only see us to a certain point. We can't see the whole full picture. That's part of being human. We can't see the divine web of things. It's just the mystery we are not, it's not revealed to us. So I believe both essences have a very important direction, a very important purpose. And the problem occurs when we make one of these ways of being down and judge each other. Sometimes it's one person carrying the feminine, and we might judge that person for being emotional and unreliable, and we can put that down in a lot of ways, and even put down, why can you be happy when I'm sad, and why can't we just go in the same direction? So there's many ways we can judge each other for the feminine, and we can also judge the masculine and say it's too rigid and it's too slow and it's just not flexible enough, and so on and so forth. So it's easy to create inner and out of conflict. And I believe we're at a moment in history where we really need to find new ways, because we actually really need each other, and the synergy between the masculine and the feminine to move forward. It's sort of like the electrical current. So we do need the plus and the minus pole in order to create electricity and move forward. So we can't just say, to hell with the masculine or to hell with the feminine. It works only in theory and only for 5 minutes. So how can we go about it? And I believe that all of us, we are in this shift where we need to shift from the old masculine and feminine, which created the war between the genders, and move into an era where we actually can have this really fruitful synergy. And the path to get there is extremely messy for all of us. There's no one who can escape that transformational path that is just chaotic. So I think it really helps to remember the transformation of the anatomy of the transformation from caterpillar to butterfly. There's a moment where there's no caterpillar and there's no butterfly, and it's just chaos. And we're all in that because we're all transitioning into something new. But how can we help ourselves? And one of the ways I think we can help ourselves is to know that there is this difference, to remember it, and to help each other or help ourselves. Let these two essences help each other. So, for example, let the inner masculine behold the inner feminine, and hold space for the inner feminine and her shifts. I'm saying her because it's the inner feminine in all of us. So behold, be witness, and behold those shifts, and just really be with them without judging or putting them down, because that's the ego that judges. So we know that that's the old-fashioned track that's going to keep us in the old level of consciousness. So that's not the way to go if we judge. So behold and witness the inner feminine, and allow the inner feminine to shift until there's some stability again. Because the feminine has the ability to be 360-degree scanning all the time. It's in the female brain, and it's in the inner feminine of all of us. We see both the sun and the moon at the same time. So there is a certain quality to that ability of scanning, because we see all angles. So I believe the inner masculine can behold that inner feminine and allow the inner feminine to visit all angles of a situation, and not draw any conclusions too fast. I believe that would be very helpful for all of us, if we can just witness and not conclude too fast, because we're so fast at concluding she's like that, he's like that, this situation is like this is wrong, this is right. This is the ego who's judging all the time. And we're judging. When we judge, we miss a lot of perspectives and a lot of evolutionary flow. So it's not fruitful to judge too fast, and to judge in the is the work of the ego. So I don't believe that's where we're heading as humanity. To shift level of consciousness, we need to go to the essence. So we need to move beyond the small self and the ego's judgment and go somewhere else, to the place of higher consciousness where we can see the bigger picture. So the inner masculine can behold the inner feminine, and the inner feminine can be aware of its own shifts. So the inner feminine can get clear on what is the vision, what is the direction, where do I want to go, what is my aim, what wants to happen, listening to what wants to happen, and not just shift like completely without direction, but just get clear on where do I want to head, where are we going, what's the aim, what's the highest good of all, what's that higher perspective that can be an upgrade, an evolutionary upgrade, and lift instead of putting down. So there is some direction to the shifts. It's not just completely aimless, and that there's some purpose of the scanning, the 360-degree scanning. I believe that will be more fruitful. And as human beings, we can take shifts at representing the inner masculine and the inner feminine and help each other discover our blind spots. So we can be there for each other and help each other see what we don't see when we're immersed in the inner masculine or immersed in the inner feminine, because we all have blind spots, and the blind spots keeps us at the low level of consciousness. So if we want to rise to a higher level, we all need help. Somebody who can see from the outside, you are plunged into the feminine and you're just like going in, completely without direction, and that's fine for a while, but at a certain point, what's your direction? Where do you want to go? And that might take time, and give each other that time, or give ourselves that time. I believe that's much more fruitful than judging. So this was a little piece of inspiration about our inner man and inner woman, and that of course also reflects itself in the outer man and the outer woman. So there's something to be deeply compassionate about, because none of us escape this transformational time, and none of us escape these two essences and how they play about inside ourselves. It's part of our human nature, and thank Goddess for that, because it's also our genius that we have both these aspects within all of us. But it can help to be more compassionate with the masculine and the feminine outside of ourselves, and just remember, so when my wife is deriving from the original plan, she just needs time to scan the issue from 360 degree, and maybe she will come back to the same conclusion. Yes, we should move, but she needs that scanning, go through her, oh my God, it's my old traumas and this, that, and the other. She needs that time, and she can be aware he needs that direction, or his inner masculine needs that right now. So I will have to be more communicative about, I am agreeing on a direction of a shift, but I just need to take time to process. So hopefully you can use this and use it for your own inner shift, and also for assisting people around you to make their shift, either whether it's at home, at work, or in the world. We're all in the same boat. We're all trying to evolve. We are all aiming for a paradigm, inner and outer paradigm shift. And we just have to really be aware that transformation is chaotic and messy. And the essence that can really help us move with as much ease as possible is love. So if we can give ourselves that, and also to the people around us, we are so much better off than if we judge and condemn and reject and put down and make wrong. It's like such the old paradigm. So namaste and have a wonderful day.